What's your favorite piece of advice from the book, or two or three pieces of advice? The ones that you go like, if you take nothing else away from this book, but these two or three just go and permeate your brain, what would those be?
Yeah. So one we talked about a little bit already. One of the chapters is ask for what you need. And I am just consistently stunned at people who have all the resources and access and ability in the world that, you know, keep themselves in the swirl of being stuck and just don't even think they can ask for something different. They don't even think they can talk to their leader or their manager. You know, they've just taken all these blanket statements as fact. So ask for what you need, I think, is probably one of them. I think another one, which is also another chapter that's resonating with a lot of people and that I've, had to learn myself, is to drop some balls. It is to, really recognize that you probably are taking on more things, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, uh, if you're feeling out of control.
Hmm.
You may be trying to juggle all the balls, or things are coming at you and you're feeling guilty about the ones that do drop. Instead of intentionally saying, hey, isn't that interesting? That ball's been dropped over there and it's just still sitting there. Anybody care?
Yeah.
Um, and this happened to me at one point in my career. And so there's been a thought that's been lingering for a long time. And I've written about it several times, but is that one point in my consulting career, my big corporation, suddenly I had a health issue and I was out of pocket. It turned out I was out of pocket from November to April. So
Wow.
pretty big stretch of time. When I came back into the office in April, and I had been in conversation with my team and with my leaders and everybody, and they were great. But I had back in the day, a little Franklin planner with my to-do list in it. And I looked at that to-do list, which was packed to the margins. And half of the things that were on there, they'd gotten done. Half of the things that were on there didn't get done. And nobody noticed.
Hmm.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
So it made me stop and think, what are the things that where am I finding problems that don't yet need to be solved? Where am I adding process or stress that is only because I think it's the right way to be, and it cost me something, as opposed to it being of value to somebody else. So when I work with clients, a lot of times on this idea of drops and balls, we'll talk about what are the meetings, what are the reports, what are just, that you're doing, so you're preparing a presentation instead of standing up and using a flip chart. What are
Hmm.
the things where you could drop some balls? So I think that's another powerful piece,
Yeah.
is to,
The analogy I use is that we got all these balls in the air and then we drop one and we fixate on the one that we dropped to the point that we can't keep the other ones in the air. We get obsessed with the fact that we drop one, as opposed to going, like to your point, oh, what the hell? I'll pick it up later. And usually it's when another one drops, you go, oh, look, I've got space to pick this one up again. But if you fixate on the thing that you've dropped and you perceive it as that, you get completely distracted and then you lose the rhythm of
well, and
keeping
the
those
other
balls
thing
in the
that's
air.
really interesting about that is that if you don't drop any balls, and I think so many people don't see this, if you don't drop any balls, there are no signals to the outside world, to your team, to your colleagues, to leaders, to management, that there's anything wrong. And this is
Hmm.
one of the things that I think is contributing to this feeling of burnout and stress, and especially in women. And the data
Because we
is
hide it, right? We pretend that
hide it.
everything's good and we're dying inside.
Yeah, or we we become the sponge. We're the one that's sucking up all the excess. And when there's no excess around, no one looks and says, "Oh, there's a problem over here," or "There's a
Yeah.
drop ball over here." So we have to sometimes create that level of pain, to be okay
It's the
with.
wake up call.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the only time someone knows to hire. If it's all getting done, and you're like, "Oh, I wish you had more people," but everything gets done, why would we hire more people? I mean, so
Yeah.
you become your own worst enemy. So dropping some
Yeah.
balls is something that I work on a lot, and I work on with my clients, and I think it's an important lesson from the book. And one last one that is less about something that's deep in the book, but it really is a core mantra for me that I included, and I really haven't shared this in a lot of my other regular writing, but it's my own personal mantra of somebody out there needs you. And I think often when we think about doing some of these things, like you asked the question too about how does it feel to, be in the spotlight and put yourself in the spotlight with, hey, I have a book. Remembering that it's like somebody out there needs me. So if I don't have a great life at work, I'm cheating somebody out of not having whatever I can bring. Or if I'm not showing up and talking about the book or asking for reviews or all those different things, there's somebody who's not going to find me or find the information. And so, and I talk, sometimes when people are in a job transition, this is a helpful mindset because you think, well, nobody needs me. Nobody wants me. This process is so hard. I'm getting rejected. But remembering that there's somebody that out there that needs you. Your job is just to go and just keep being visible to find, to help them find you, And so
and not to believe that just because you're not for one, it automatically means you're not for the other. I mean, I say this in my book, we are not for everyone in this life. And the more authentic we are going into, the pursuit of a new role or a new organization, new job, whatever it is, the more authentic we are, the more we can be seen for what we're truly going to be able to contribute. And then we don't have to pretend to be someone or something we're not from the beginning. We always try and make ourselves so perfect and shiny so that we get accepted. And then we go, oh crap, I didn't really want this job, or I don't want to have to be the person that I pretended to be to get this job. I want to be able to be myself. And as you and I know, the more real you are and the more authentic you are, the more likely you are to find that right match, that right fit, where you can go in and be in full possession of your superpowers because you've been clear to people about what your superpowers are. And they're like, yeah, I want those. The other guy might not have wanted them. Who cares? Fine, you're not for them. But the people who do want them for you, come bring it full on from day one. And now you're experiencing progress. Now you're filled up. Now you're best utilized,
Yeah, it's so true that there are people in the world who just aren't your peeps. There are people who just won't get you. But, I challenge people. I was just talking to somebody who spoke at a conference last week who said there's something about, I don't want to look into consulting because consultants are like this or consulting firms are like this. Like, who says? Like, you wouldn't say all grocery stores are exactly the same or all, it's like, there are so many nuances that we cut ourselves off from opportunities. But when we think about, and I'm looking for is to somebody who needs me. I'm looking for to somebody where it's a click. I'm looking, even in your own organization. Again, the book is to save your career without leaving your job. Like there are so many routes inside our own organizations, and not to go wait till a job is posted in another department, but even just to reshape and rescope what you're doing right now to make it work for you. That's the part that I'm excited about. And, I always get excited when I hear from a client saying, we did this. And like, I have a client who 5 years ago when we met, she was, on her way out. She thought time for a job search, and she could have been hired like that. But she really didn't want to leave. I mean, there was good stuff there. There were lots of reasons to make it work, but she wasn't sure she could make it work. Well, 5 years later, she's now going to soon be like number 2 to the CEO. It's amazing what you can do and do it while still making yourself happy for what you want, not for what someone else thinks you want.